What do you think is the most under the bed thing in the church?
How pastors feel.
Oh, Kai, for real? Go on, expand on
you've
that.
got to break that down.
When was the last time you go to a church and you felt like the needs of the pastor, his emotions, and what he's been through is addressed? I think that, pastors are the most neglected people in the church because people are assuming they have it all together. Or people have so much kind of expectations on them, like, yeah, I have this problem, you have to fix it. I have this problem, you have to fix it. You have to study, you have to teach us, we need to grow. We are not growing, you need to do so much for us. You need to take us to this level. My mother is sick, pray for my mother. This is going on, da 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 da. But nobody really sits down to say, how does he feel? And I think that the most under the bed thing in church, is truly and genuinely how pastors feel. Because everybody assumes everything is fine, which is not.
You know what? I didn't know how you'd answer that question, but I think you're right, because that's never something that I would have thought would be the most under the bed thing in the church.
I think sometimes we have this impression of pastors that they're like Superman.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, they're like Superman. They're the ones that like have it all together. Like, they don't get upset. They're like just that person that everyone's looking to. But I think sometimes it's very hard. It's very easy to forget that they're actually just a human being, like the rest of us.
Literally. But I feel like as a human being, like, they've got so much on their shoulders. Like, you've got to carry so much. You've got to think about so much. Any problem, people are calling your line. Like, that's...
You are dealing with deaths, births, marriages. This one is this, that. I mean, how many people even go to that person and be like, oh, are you able to pay your rent? Have your children eating? Or what's your emotional state? How's your mother doing? And this is where sometimes it's very, very interesting when people always from online or whatever. It's almost like, oh, it's the pastors. It's like they're having the backlash and men of God. And if that guy was your brother or your sister, you would have been speaking differently. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Sometimes people think like, oh, and I understand that, that's what the Bible says, that not many of you should desire to be teachers, because, there's a certain type of yardstick we are measured, and that's true. Anybody in any level of authority has to understand that there are certain things that comes with it. So, we brace ourselves for it, knowing that, okay, this is what the life is truly about. But I think that if you're talking about things that are really unspoken of, with things which are really, swept under the bed, I think that it's truly how pastors genuinely feel. I think that a lot of pastors have a lot to say, but they won't.
Yeah.
And they can't, because people expect them to have it together, and people be like, yeah, but you are the pastor, you should forgive, the one who speaks about forgiveness and blah 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 blah. But you have to understand that beyond him being a man of God, he's also a man. And I love how the Bible puts it, that Elijah was a man who was subject to life passions. Jesus Christ at a point of time in his life was so overwhelmed with life that he actually called Peter, James, and John and said, guys, come and watch with me. He said, my soul is extremely sorrowful unto death. Jesus is saying that, guys, I'm overwhelmed. But guess what? He calls these guys to say, guys, I'm actually anxious.